If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Appreciate you hanging out with us here to get your work week started. Hope it is off to a good start. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there as well. Beck thought he wore green, but I think he may have worn blue.
I have green socks at least. You can't see them, of course, on the camera, but...
No, I got green socks on as well. Got green socks, green shirt. I actually went with the green pullover, but then I picked it up and it had like a stain of some sort on it, so I had to ditch that.
Well, that's not surprising.
Had to go to a completely different green, but I made the effort. I went to 2 different green articles of clothing.
That's good.
So,
that's good work, Hunt.
Impressive effort by me, I know. All right, let's talk some LSU baseball. Tigers get a sweep to open league play 3-0 against Missouri. No better spot to get analysis on LSU baseball than the carpool line. And that's where we find Buzzy Haydel, former Tiger national champion, member of the LSU Sports Radio Network as well. Buzz, how are you?
Doing well, boys. Thanks for having me, Hunt. Congratulations to you on the little one. What did you fill in the game? What game was that?
Yeah, it was Saturday of North Alabama, and then we went to the hospital at like 4:00 the next morning. So I barely snuck that game in.
Yeah, well, good job by mama and baby of holding off getting that game in.
Yeah, and then the baby was not super awesome last night. Would not go to sleep. So the fight is officially on. All right, let's talk some baseball. LSU starts conference play 3-0. You've got to feel good about that, considering the start last year. No.
Yeah, and look, I mean, they played the worst team in the SEC. So I mean, they took care of business. The one thing about SEC games, when you need to win the games you're supposed to win, and they were supposed to win all 3 of those games. They're one of the top 2 teams in the country right now, them in Tennessee. And, again, played a team in Missouri who, look, other than a game or 2 in Texas where they played some pretty good competition, even though they're not going to be one of the better teams in the SEC. It was one of the better teams they faced all year, just because they are an SEC caliber type team. And, so you got to like the win. But again, they're going to have tougher games ahead of them in the near future, especially this weekend with Texas. But they did a lot of things well. They pitched it good enough, and their offense is clicking 1 through 9. So that's fun to watch right now.
Let's talk about the pitching, because that seems to be where everybody's kind of pointing. And I enjoy the passion. People around here demand excellence in championship level. And even though LSU won 3 games, people were cranky because they walked a few people. What did you make of the command issues that LSU seemed to have over 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, I still think they're searching for another couple guys out of the bullpen that they can really trust. It's very clear that Kason Evans and Zach Cowan are the two, the 2 guys that you want to get the ball to late in the games. I mean, those are 2 guys you really can trust. They obviously feel good about Primo from the left-handed as a left-hander. They're trying to Connor Ware's the other left-hander that they're trying to get out there and see, build confidence in, and then Schmidt, that's his first SEC appearance as a freshman. I mean, I'm not going to make too much of his performance. I think he's really good. I think his stuff's really good. I think that you need to kind of go through that first SEC appearance to get the jitters out of the way. I thought at times maybe he was just trying to overthrow. And so I'm not going to make too much of it. I do think, before the season started, everybody, wait till you see the arms, wait till you see the arms. And the arms have been impressive. Everybody throws 98. Everybody's got a million pitches, although I argue I'd really like guys to develop 2 really good pitches and be able to throw them for strikes and have confidence in those 2, and it'd be 2 dominant pitches than try to throw 4 or 5 just mediocre pitches. But that's a conversation for another time. But before this season, everyone talked about how great the arms were going to be. I would say the offense has been has been better and has been something that you're more excited about than the arms. I'm not like down on the pitching. I do think they have to find a few more guys out of that bullpen. And also, I mean, look, Chase Shores on Sunday, the stuff is awesome, but I mean, it's not like he's some dominant guy right now. I mean, he's just another Sunday pitcher in my mind with the way he's throwing the ball right now. Now, the potential's there. Don't get me wrong, Hunt, but again, he needs to continue to grow and continue to get better. And I'm being a little particular about that as well. I mean, this is a guy that seems like he's been here for 5 years, but before yesterday's game, I think he had a total of 38 innings in his career. And so he still needs that experience. He still needs to keep getting out there and continuing to develop as a college pitcher. So I don't want to be too critical there, but the pitching staff definitely needs to continue to get better, especially as these tougher games come upon us.
I mean, Chase Shores has one more SEC start to his name than I do. So that's his first one ever yesterday. So you look at Ianson and Shores. What should the realistic expectation be for those 2 guys as number 2 and number 3 starters?
Well, I talked to you. I got Blair Barbier, the great Blair Barbier. We always talk about this, and he says if you want to win a national championship, you've got to have 2 pitchers with 10-plus wins. And so you hope one of them is Kate Anderson, right? And you hope the other is one of those 2 guys you just mentioned, Anthony Ianson or Chase Shores. And if you go back, it's funny. You go back and look at a lot of the national championship teams. That stat actually holds pretty true. You usually have 2 guys with double-digit wins in the weekend. So look, it'll be interesting to see. Ianson's been really good. I know you called the game against North Alabama where he was a little shaky early, like the game he threw in Texas, and then just settled in and only had 15 strikeouts during that game you called. But he's a guy that throws the ball over the plate, and he is a true he's a guy that can throw really all his pitches for strikes, which is something that a lot of these guys on the team right now don't do. So I like that. I think he's going to, it'll be interesting to see with all the strikes he throws whenever, these tough SEC lineups come in, how he can handle those guys. Because sometimes it's not always a bad thing to be a little effectively wild with also not walking everybody in sight. So I guess realistic expectations would be, if you're asking me to throw a number on it, I mean, I like 8 to 10 wins from Ianson, and then Chase Shores, if he can stay around 500. I mean, not everybody's not going to go 12-0 with a 3 ERA. So I think you just got to expect those guys to compete, especially Shores on Sunday. And it's the old saying, give your team a chance on Sunday. Usually pitching's depleted on both teams. And so you'd like a guy to go out, doesn't have to be perfect, but get you, 4 or 5 innings and only give up, 2-3 runs and have a chance for your offense to win it, which if LSU continues the way they've been swinging it, they're going to win a lot of Sunday games if Shores can throw, 4 or 5 innings and only giving up a few runs.
Buzzy Haydel is our guest, member of the 2009 National Championship team, also a member of the LSU Sports Radio Network. Let's talk offense. This team is not going to slug, I don't think, to the degree that the team did 2 years ago when you had Cruz and White and Dugas and Beloso. I mean, you had a lot of guys hit a lot of home runs on that team. I don't know if you're going to have that kind of volume on this team, but they just, to me, seem like a team that's got a lot of different ways to beat you, and they're showing that almost every single game at this point. What do you like most about LSU's offense?
Yeah, I mean, other than Jones, who's going to, probably when it's all said and done, you would think he's going to get around the 20 homer mark again, and hopefully even more. Hopefully he has a season like he did last year. But I could see, not another guy flirting with 20 homers, but you could see a handful of guys with 8 to 10 when the season ends. So I'm with you. It's not like all the power in the world with the Cruzes and the Tommy Whites and all those guys that really could hit the ball out of the ballpark. But you could have a handful of guys flirt with the 10 home run, 8 to 10. So that's encouraging. I mean, my two favorite guys offensively right now are Curriel and Milam. Well, really, Milam just as a baseball player. I mean, he is so fun to watch play the game right now. He always has good at bats. But playing shortstop, and I know we can go through the long list of guys who have been great at shortstop for LSU. And, the now is a lot of times what's on your mind, the present. But he is, I mean, the hands and the footwork and the internal clock that he plays with, knowing when to get rid of the baseball and just the instincts he plays with. That's something that I really enjoy watching, whether I'm watching it on TV or in the booth, calling it with Chris or Doug and watching it with my own two eyes. It's just.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's really fun to watch. But offensively, you just know what you're going to get from him. Curry at the top of the lineup is, if there's a better leadoff hitter, I'm going to even go as far as to say, if there's a better leadoff hitter in the country, I'd like to see him. And it doesn't matter if he's a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. I mean, this guy gets on base, he takes pitches, and I made this comment yesterday on the call, Hunt. I don't remember who said it, but it was a guy who flirted with 400 in the big leagues. It was like, the Wade Boggs or Paul Molitor or one of those type of Robin Yount. It was like one of those guys who said the way you hit 400 is you don't have to get hits every game, but you can't take an 0 for 4 day. You've got to figure out a way to draw a walk or two, or sacrifice a guy over, or hit a sac fly. You got to, when you don't have the day that you get the hits, you got to go 0 for 1 or 0 for 2. You can't take the 0 for 4 or 0 for 5 to have a chance to hit over 400. I don't know if he'll hit over 400. I'm telling you, he has as good a chance as anybody because of the way his approach at the plate. Takes a lot of pitches. Even when he doesn't get his hits, he goes 0 for 1 with 3 walks, gets hit by pitches. He just has quality at bat after quality at bat, and it's really fun to watch. He doesn't feel like a freshman at the top of that lineup, and so he's a guy for me that he just sets the table. He's always on base. And it's just, again, it's fun to watch. They're hitting 1 through 9. I mean, just to kind of go throughout the lineup. I mean, the guys at the bottom on Saturday, Braswell, I think, drove in 3 runs. Stanfield's been getting on bases, that kind of second leadoff hitter in the 9-hole. And so they're doing it 1 through 9. Jake Brown has been really swinging it well. So it's not just the 1 through 4 guys, which everyone circles on the lineup card when you play. They can beat you at the bottom of the lineup right now, too. Now, will that continue? Only time will tell. But early first SEC series of the year, that's what you want to see from a lineup standpoint.
You on the call tomorrow?
No, not on the schedule, but, things, the way things happen. I mean, my old buddy Doug's got to make sure we got the list. We're looking at the list and checking it twice, if you know what I mean. And so not on the schedule at the moment, but you never know what'll change.
Sometimes you got to go to the bullpen on a Sunday. I understand how that goes. Buzz, we'll talk soon. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks, Hunt.
He's Buzzy Haydel, former Tiger champ and member of the LSU Sports Radio Network. I was in church yesterday and got a call. Hey, want to come do the game? I was like, I can't. I'm in church. Buzz answered the call. He was there in the first inning, and he and Chris did a great job on the broadcast yesterday. Tigers get a sweep of Missouri. They have won 15 in a row at this point, but not good enough to hold on to number 1 in the country, according to D1 Baseball. D1 Baseball moved Tennessee after they swept Florida up to number 1. LSU is now number 2 in D1 Baseball and number 2 in Baseball America, but that's okay. You just got to hang around and get in the top 8. Once you're in the top 8, you're good as gold. So that's what LSU is aiming to do here, and they're off to a good start in league play. We got 45 minutes left. Come back with us. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Spring practice rolling along out there at LSU. They're now a week into it. We'll be back out there tomorrow to watch them a little bit. And one of the positions that I'll probably take a look at a little bit more tomorrow, hopefully we'll get to see some 11 on 11. They were going to see a lot of that on Saturday, but the weather came. Saturday got real nasty in the middle of the day, and LSU had to go inside. The media had to bail, so not as much as you would have liked. But the running back spot is an interesting one to pay attention to, because there's your one constant. That's Caden Durham, who you feel like is going to be a really, really good player for LSU. Then you've got Caleb Jackson, who is back. I think a lot of folks, just because of the era that we're in, not with any inside information on how Caleb feels, but like you're looking at that and you're going, well, Caleb Jackson didn't really get the ball very much, and a freshman kind of usurped his role there, and they're bringing in another 5-star freshman. Like, he might look elsewhere. But he didn't. He wanted to stay, wanted to play here. That's great. But you got him, and you've got, I think, some talent there that can be tapped into if you block it properly. The way that LSU blocked last year didn't allow for running backs to get up ahead of steam. And Caden Durham can outrun some folks to the corner and bounce things outside, and he's a little shifty, and he can do those kind of things. Caleb Jackson needs a head of steam to get downhill through a hole and then outrun some linebackers and run over some safeties. That's his game, and you didn't allow him to do that last year, but he's back, and he's got a little bit of talent as well. And then you've got Harlan Berry in the mix, and you'll have JT Lindsey when he enrolls in the summer. So you've got some moving pieces behind Durham, who you feel like is your dude. And Brian Kelly went to the podium yesterday, and he talked about, or that was Saturday, I guess, and talked about Caden Durham and what he's seen from what I guess now you would call a rising sophomore running back.
We're doing some things in the spring that are first time kind of looks for him. And so the spring for him is really about getting some looks. And you guys are out there and you can see what we're doing. And I don't want to give any things away, but those things that we're really focusing on, they're new looks for him. And he's got to get comfortable in that, because that's going to be featured within our offensive structure.
The only thing I saw, and I don't think this is earth-shattering news, we were out there watching practice and watched a little bit. The quarterbacks were working with the running backs, and the running backs were in the shotgun with them, and they were working on a little play action to the running back that turned into a wheel route down the sideline, and the quarterbacks were hitting the running backs in stride on some of those. I haven't seen a ton of Caden Durham a little bit down the field in the passing game. Certainly, you saw the swing route that they threw him in the game that he took 1 billion yards. I guess that was against South Alabama. Is that right? He had the 2 huge plays in the first quarter of that game. And you saw him catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage and use that speed, and that's something that you're going to see a lot of. But I'd like to see him involved a little bit more catching the football. I know he's not a big target, but he's good out in space. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. So I'm excited for Caden Durham. I think he showed his speed, his quickness, his agility, a lot of things that are going to make him a really good SEC back. And I'm still just going to file it away in the back of my mind. I don't know how healthy he was last year. And he's really the only one that knows that. Maybe there's another gear that you'll see from Caden Durham moving forward into this year. Caleb Jackson's the other guy I talked about here, and he was big last year, big dude. And you look at him, you see big, fast, strong. That's what he is. And Brian Kelly was asked on Saturday, what about Caleb Jackson's weight as you move forward into his third year on campus?
This has been more about him acclimatizing to, his weight, and he's done a great job. He struggled the last year with his size and volume, and he's been great this spring. So he's really crossed that hurdle.
That surprised me to hear that a little bit, not because I didn't think that Caleb Jackson looked like a big dude last year. Of course he did, but he is a big physical back. Brian Kelly said in a press conference last year that Caleb Jackson hit 22 miles an hour or whatever it was at practice. So that to me was indicating that he's not a step slower. He's not struggling to carry his weight. He is moving as fast as anybody that we've got out there. So I'm not sure what to take from that other than if they feel like they've got a playing weight that he needs to be at and he's there, that's good. I'll say this. I'm not ready to completely give up on Caleb Jackson. I alluded to it at the beginning of this segment, but we'll revisit now that we've heard from Brian Kelly there. Like, if you can open up some holes and get him moving downhill, I think Caleb Jackson can be a good SEC running back. He's not going to be the shiftiest guy. He can't create his own space. He may not be an elite pass catcher. But if you can get him into a hole with his pads getting vertical, I think he can make life pretty miserable for some SEC teams, especially if it's in the third and fourth quarter and they've been chasing Caden Durham around. And you bring in a 230 running back, 220-pound running back, whatever they want him to play at. And he's got a full head of steam, and you've been chasing Caden Durham a lot. Like, that's... LSU's been out there for 84 plays because they ball control it and they're good on third down because Nussmeier is good in the short passing game. That's an unpleasant thing to have to deal with. So I'm not calling for Caleb Jackson to be a first-team All-SEC back next year. I'm not. I'm just saying I haven't given up on him. So I'm curious to see what they can get out of him. And Harlem Berry is somebody that's going to garner a ton of attention because of his recruitment and how high profile he was back to his sophomore year in New Orleans, how big a deal it was for LSU to get him. And then now he's an early enrollee, and you don't have a lot of numbers at running back. Like, you look out there and you've got Caden Durham, Caleb Jackson, Harlem Berry. Like, that's it. Like, Juwan Johnson's not with him anymore. He's with the quarterbacks. Trey Holly is not with the team right now. JT Lindsey is not here yet. So, like, you don't have a lot of depth. So, like, just because of the numbers, Harlem Berry is going to get a ton of reps. And they can do with Harlem Berry just about anything they want to do with Harlem Berry because he's shown the versatility to, yes, be an every down type running back who can run between the tackles and make guys miss and outrun folks. But he can also catch the ball. He can split out in the slot. They can put him on the field at the same time as Caden Durham and put them both in the backfield and then motion Berry out. Like, they can do whatever they want with that skill set because, and I use this caveat and this disclaimer every time because I want to be very clear that I'm not comparing the production level. This is a style of play, not the exact physical attributes. His style of play, I think, is similar to Reggie Bush. If you played Reggie Bush in Matt Leinert's offense in the slot, I think he would have been a star. They put him back there. Like, you would have put Lindell White at running back and Reggie Bush in the slot, I think Reggie Bush would have caught 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns worth of balls. Because he's just that fluid, that adept at making guys miss, got good hands, fast, quick, like the whole thing. I think Berry could be the same thing. Now, I'm not saying Harlem Berry's every bit as fast, every bit as big, every bit as fluid, but it's just a stylistic thing. Like Leonard Fournette's not built like that. Caleb Jackson's not built like that. Caden Durham's not built like that. But Berry is. And so I'm curious to see kind of what they want his role in the offense to be. And Brian Kelly back on Saturday talked about Harlem Berry as freshman tailback.
Add Harlem Berry into it, who's just, figuring out the offense, but you can tell he's extremely talented. And now it's just a matter of him learning the offense and putting a coat of armor on him. But I think all three of them are having a good spring.
I mean, Brian Kelly talks about that coat of armor all the time. That's just extra weight. that's just getting bigger as a freshman. Everybody's going to put on the same pads, but some guys have a little bit more weight to him, and Harlem Berry's got to do that. And so this is going to be a big step up for Berry. You're talking about a guy who played 1A football, was big, fast, strong, was dude on the field all the time, and now you go out there and you're not the biggest, fastest, strongest dude out there. They're all over the place. All the guys on that defense can run with you. And you've got to play a little bit differently than you did in high school. And for everybody, that adjustment comes at a different speed. I just think it's a very good thing for Harlem Berry because of how versatile he can be and the many things that they can do with him. I think it's great to have him in at spring ball, to give him a month here with no game plan, no game to get ready for. It's a little bit slower pace. I think that's a good acclimation point for him to be able to go out there and be a guy that is going to be a piece of this offense. I mean, I expect Caden Durham to handle, let's call it.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger, Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
80% of the duties back there, but I think that leaves, maybe not that, maybe 70% of duty back there. That leaves 15% for Jackson, 25% for Barry. I mean, I think that's maybe realistic. And I think that's enough talent. Is it enough depth? I guess time will tell. Running backs tend to get banged up. But that's enough talent to win in an SEC schedule. But you got to get through that, and that's where the depth can come from. But that's a look at the running backs. We'll hopefully get a little bit more info from them as we go out to practice coming up tomorrow. We'll have a practice report tomorrow on LouisianaSports.net, and all of our LSU coverage all year round on the football side is at Hunt on LSU. You can find that wherever you find your podcast. You can find that on YouTube as well, Hunt on LSU, and of course, for free over at LouisianaSports.net. Take a time out, come back with more. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every single new Genesis purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Can't beat that in the industry. How about 3 years of complimentary maintenance? Nobody loves dealing with the maintenance of a vehicle, but it's one of the biggest purchases that we make. Got to take care of it. Got to do the oil changes and tire rotations. Got to handle the air filter and wiper fluid and all that goes into that. You know that, but how about making it as easy as possible? It's complimentary for 3 years, and they'll do it valet. They'll come get your car, handle the service, leave you a loaner so you can get on your day, and then they'll bring it back to you when it's ready. That's the part that separates Genesis of Baton Rouge. Genesis of Baton Rouge is the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana. You can find them airline at PQ, been there for about 2 years. If you hadn't stopped by, highly suggest you do that. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you over there to Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Great folks over there at Gulf Coast. You can find them online at gcopnet.com. Shout out to our guy, Trey Beal, who's fantastic to work with. I tell you this every single Monday, but obviously worth repeating. You can deal with the big box stores. They're going to have all the resources possible, but you're just going to be a line item. You pick up the phone and call them. You may get some recorded line in Atlanta or San Francisco. That's not ideal. You can do business with the mom and pop shop, and they'll pick up the phone if you give them a call, but do they have everything that you need? Maybe not. At Gulf Coast, you get the best of both worlds. You get a local company right here in Louisiana. It's going to have phenomenal customer service no matter who your rep is, if it's Trey or someone else. And then you've got a company that's got a ton of resources. They got $1 million of equipment right here on site in Baton Rouge. They got locations throughout the state. Got maintenance teams that can get to you very quickly in the event that there is an issue with your printer, scanner, copier. It's the best of both worlds. It's Gulf Coast Office Products, gcopnet.com. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, a couple of press conferences down in New Orleans today. The reintroduction, I guess, of Juwan Johnson to the Saints after he signed his free agent deal. And then Devon Godshaw, I guess that's a reintroduction as well to the folks of Louisiana, because Godshaw was right here at LSU for his college days and then been with the Miami Dolphins early on in his professional career. Those two, both additions the Saints have made in this offseason. And when I look at those additions, I gave you my thoughts last week on Juwan Johnson. I didn't love the signing based on the player, the age, the production, and the salary. I mean, when you look at a signing, you've got to bake in everything and evaluate it at that point. And I don't think Juwan Johnson is a bad player. And I don't think that a $30 million contract over 3 years is a monster deal by any stretch of the imagination. However, you look at Juwan Johnson, what he has been, he's now at age 30, and you're looking at that contract. I didn't love that at tight end. Johnson talked about who was courting him in free agency. Not surprising at all. The Denver Broncos were in that number. It seems like everyone who's been in the New Orleans organization gets a phone call from Denver one time or another. And then the Seahawks were after him as well. But Kellen Moore was the guy who actually closed the deal to get Juwan Johnson back to New Orleans. And Kellen Moore is selling Juwan Johnson on a new offense that's going to do some different things with the tight end. And that's the part of the equation that I can't necessarily speak to from here. Like, I don't know what Kellen Moore's plan is to use Juwan Johnson. You're talking about a converted wide receiver who's put on some weight, not a great blocking tight end, not an elite level athlete, and certainly not a young player anymore, but he's been fairly productive. And he last year broke his foot prior to the season, still came out, played in all 17 games, and was okay in what was a very inconsistent offense that had some struggles at quarterback, to put it lightly, and injuries all over the field. But I'm interested to see if they can unlock something different from Juwan Johnson. What I'm comfortable saying is what you've gotten from Juwan Johnson since he got into the league, I don't love paying for that for 3 more years at that price tag. Maybe Kellen Moore's got something different he can offer. And at that point, I'll gladly sit here and say, yeah, I was wrong. Obviously, Kellen Moore had an idea there, and they capitalized on him. We'll see. But he, as far as Juwan Johnson, back with the Saints. Devon Godshaw met with the media today as well, and he gave himself 2 descriptors in his press conference. He called himself a dominant run player and a dirty work player. And that's exactly what the Saints need. Exactly what the Saints need. Godshaw is relatively inexpensive. He is a little bit older, but he gives you something that you don't already have. Brian Buzzy is a good player on the defensive interior. He's young, he's cost-controlled, he's an excellent locker room guy, and he was really productive in the pass rush portion of the game last year. He's a really good interior pass rusher, which is a vital skill to have in the NFL. But he's not as good against the run. And you've got Colin Saunders, and you've got Cam, who's inside, outside. But you've got some weakness there against the run. And Devon Godshaw helps remedy that. Now, the thing that I've been working off of is X player that the Saints sign, is he going to be on the next great Saints team? That's the question. And Godshaw may not be. And at that point, okay, you haven't necessarily checked that box that I'm looking for. But I'm not going to go nuts at the Saints for signing a guy that very clearly fills a need. And you've got a potential out on the end of this year that would not result in dead cap hit. So it's a stopgap. And if, like Chase Young, you like what you see and you decide that you want to extend, you can. Now, Chase Young, you're extending at 25. Godshaw's 31 when he plays this season. So it's not apples to apples. It's apples to oranges. But I don't hate that signing because he brings something that you don't have. I think that Juwan Johnson's a little more easily replaceable, and that's a 3-year deal. So to me, one of these checks my box. The other one I have a little bit of an issue with, unless Kellen Moore can figure out a way to make it work. And that's something that we'll just have to see. But I am impressed that Kellen Moore can be out in front and lead a free agent push. I think that's good. And we feel like he's going to run a good offense. So that, to me, that was one of the things that I picked up in this press conference that made me go, okay, that's a bit of a positive. Because Kellen Moore's an unproven piece. We know that. But as you start to see him get started in New Orleans, then you start to assess what he's doing as the leader of the organization. And he was able to land a tight end that he wanted to get who had other suitors. So nothing earth-shattering today from down there on Airline Drive, but the Saints continue to do work in free agency, and I think we'll just continue to kind of wait and see what this roster is going to look like. I think they're being a little too aggressive, but time will certainly tell down there in New Orleans. If you're looking for Saints content, you can find it, A Hunt on Saints on YouTube, wherever you find your podcast, Hunt on Saints as well. It's all Saint football all year round. So if you're looking for your Saints fix, you can find it. Search Hunt on Saints wherever you find your audio or on YouTube. Take a time out. We'll come back and close things out. It's a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Alrighty, we got the NCAA tournament coming up this weekend. Get your VEX European Bracket Challenge now. Go ahead and sign up at 1045ESPN.com. You can also head over to LouisianaSports.net to get your picks in. For the first game begins March 20th. The most accurate picks take home the grand prize of $1,000. It's the VEX European Bracket Challenge, powered by 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Did you start that live read with an all right?
Yeah, I did, because I didn't have the promos pulled up yet, so I had to.
Got to kill some airtime, right?
I had to I had to get a little.
Love to hear that.
A little bit of a buffer there.
Well done. I'm going to complain a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit about the selection committee yesterday.
Okay.
I was watching SEC baseball and didn't see the selection show. My team did not qualify for the tournament, so I didn't have to watch that. But this whole deal where North Carolina gets into the field with a 1-12 quad one record is just indefensible. Like, that's absurd.
Yep.
And we do this every year on the basketball and the baseball side of things, and I probably get a little bit more deeply into the weeds in baseball, whether LSU's trying to get into the field like last year, trying to get a top 8. And my favorite thing to do is like, okay, who did you beat? I care less about who you lost to. Like, okay, whatever. But who... on your day, like, who'd you beat? And North Carolina very clearly beat no one. They were 1-12 in quad one. That is 13 chances to go out there and play, and you can't do it. And meanwhile, you've got West Virginia, who was 6-10 against Q1. That's not awesome, but it's not terrible. Like, 6-10 is good for a bubble team. And I just can't get on board with this. Now, I think it's absurd that the governor of West Virginia is apparently filing suit because the NCAA selection committee selected teams on a subjective basis to go to the tournament, because that's what they do. And yeah, I know that the chair of the committee was at North Carolina, and he's got a bonus in his contract if Carolina makes the tournament and all that kind of stuff. And I choose to believe that there aren't people in there angling for their own personal success. That could be naive. I could be wrong. Like, whatever. I choose to believe they're honestly trying to get in there and make the right decision based on who should be in the tournament. And if you put yourself on the bubble, you give yourself the ability to be snubbed. But that would be disqualifying. If I was in the committee room and I was sitting there and they walk North Carolina's resume up there and they go, okay, let's talk about the Tar Heels. What's their quad one record? 1-12. Next.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Next.
And somehow they were 36th in the net, which just kind of shows you that the net ranking is not exactly a great metric in terms of teams that deserve to be ranked where they are. There was, of course, multiple teams, not only West Virginia, Boise State probably had a good case to get in there. They had at least three quad one. That's two better than North Carolina. They had a better case to make it there than them. So yeah, I'm not really. The only reason, of course, North Carolina gets in is because of their name and their brand, which we have seen before. That with the NCAA. With the men's tournament, we've seen teams get in based on their brand. It happens all the time.
Yeah, and when we talk about baseball, I'm generally going to lean with you got to let Ole Miss in 3 years ago. You got to let Florida in last year, because they're teams that can actually make a push. I don't care about St. John's baseball team or Rutgers baseball team or whoever, who I don't think is any good. And that may be talking out of both sides of my mouth. But in this sport, like,
if you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I don't know. North Carolina's in a mediocre ACC. They didn't do well. I just, that to me was wrong, and I would be really upset. I know John Rothstein was banging this drum yesterday as well, but 1-12, that's such a big sample size and such a putrid effort that I just can't back that up. So those are my thoughts on the selection committee. Let's play Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
You got to give me a little bit of a wind up there, Hunt. I'm not ready to hit the button. You
I need quickness over there. Make it happen. Boom.
I can do it, but my hand was not on the mouse, so it's going to take me a second.
Why was your hand not on the mouse?
Because I was on the other mouse on the other computer. I have two mouses over here, Hunt. This is a lot to look at.
Play like a champion today. No excuses.
All right, first one here. Derek Stingley Jr., he signed a 3-year, $90 million deal with the Houston Texans, making him the highest paid defensive back in the NFL. The 2019 Tigers were the most talented team of all time. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna have to leave that because that's hard because the Miami team, best team, I can get on board with that.
Now now currently there is four players that were on that team that are on the road to being Hall of Famers. Stingley, Chase, Jefferson, and Burrow. They're on the path to be in the Hall of Fame.
On the financial thing, you've got Chase, highest paid non-quarterback ever. You've got Stingley, highest paid corner ever. And you've got Lloyd Cushenberry, largest center contract ever as well. Burrow, of course, monster deal.
Shoot, you could maybe even throw Cushenberry in there as a future Hall of Famer.
I don't know if we're quite there, but
eventually.
He signed a huge contract. There's no doubt about that. And so you look at, and Schefter had a tweet that between Burrow, Chase, Jefferson, and Stingley, $666 million.
That's a lot of money.
That's a pretty good gig if you can get it.
It is. All right, next one here. Paradise, the TV show on Hulu. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
When it rains all day on Saturday and you've got a newborn that can't move, you watch a lot of TV. And the wife and I binged Paradise. We knocked it out in 3 days. It's like 8 episodes, I think, the first season. It's good. I'm not a big sci-fi guy. It is sci-fi. This is not a spoiler for those that want to watch it. You find this out in the first 15 minutes of the show. There's an apocalyptic event on the horizon, and the president's got to start making decisions. And that's the apocalypse is coming, basically. And so that's what you're dealing with. You don't find out what that apocalypse is for a couple of episodes, but it was good. There was a little bit of a mystery to it. There's some folks losing lives. I thought it was good. I'm not a huge sci-fi guy, but we enjoyed it. There will be a second season. I'll watch it.
Yeah, that was tough, man. That Saturday, it was like we had such good weather up until Saturday, and then we have after that. But of course, that Saturday just had to be a very poor weather day. Not great. All right, last one here. A 5:15 a.m. wake up tomorrow. For we'll have one more after this, and this won't be the last one. But 5:15 a.m. wake up call for the Cubs opening day in Japan. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. Absolutely, I will be up. I'm the midnight feed guy right now. I'm going to cede those midnight feed obligations to my mother, who's in town this week. I will take the 6 a.m. feed coming up tomorrow, so I'll get up at 4:45 probably. Come on out. And I'm going to watch the Cubbies play the Dodgers.
Should be a good one, of course.
Yeah, got a couple of Japanese pitchers on the mound, which should get the Tokyo Dome buzzing a little bit. I hope that Mookie Betts feels a little bit better in 3 days.
Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. Sounds like they may almost send him home. He's not going to play against the Cubs. How sick has he got to be for them to rule him out 2 days in advance for a baseball game? I don't know, but it sounds like he's been a little sick. Maybe eat something a little funny over there in Japan. Maybe. Could happen. But you know what? If he's okay in 2 days, that's fine with me. I don't really want to see him in the batter's box the next 2 days. But yes, very excited for the Cubs tomorrow. I will wake up. I will see the first pitch. Probably won't be able to see the conclusion because I got to go to practice at 8 o'clock. But I will see a lot.
All right, last one here. Rory getting it done in the playoff. Monday morning playoff, that is, and the Players. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
Is
he going to win the Masters?
I think he might. He's going to be the odds-on favorite for sure, I think.
Oh, no, he's not.
No, I think he might be, Hunt. Because, listen, I know you're going to say Scheffler, okay, but he has he's been playing better than Scheffler has this season.
Yes, he has. But Scheffler's won it twice.
Okay,
so
that's fair. But
they're
usually
going to put.
It's going to be close, though. I think.
I'm not saying I think Scheffler is more likely to win, but I'm telling you, Vegas is not going to put Rory ahead of Scheffler. I don't think. Rory's got.
Do you think he'll
real
win? Do you think he's going to win the Masters?
I do think he's going to win the Masters.
Wow.
I think he's going to win the Masters.
All right.
Bold take.
So that's going to be
don't snap hook it in the trees on 10.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, everybody was snap looking at.
We started the show on a golf note. We finished the show on a golf note. We started with handshake openers with the baseball team to start. We talked Rory and players there to finish. That's it. Tomorrow we're going to have a fun show. Looking forward to it. I'll be out at practice tomorrow morning. I'll have a full practice report. We'll talk to Preston. Not Preston. He's Saturdays. Glenn West, Go 24/7 will be with us. We'll also talk to Sharif about the Saints. They've had a couple of press conferences today, so looking forward to that. Our Monday shows brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow, same time and same place for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.